Hello and welcome to Wanneroo in Western Australia for round 4 of the Monster Energy Drink MX Nationals here on the MotoOnline.com.au pre-moto show. Mick Sinclair and Kam Williams, thank you boys. Welcome.
Thanks mate.
Good afternoon.
Good to be back.
Return to Wanneroo. Qualifying's been run and won. So far Mick, Josh Coppins set the pace in the MX1 class. Shane Boyd in MX2. What have you witnessed out there today?
I think that was, that everyone was expecting those guys to do that. Boydie's a renowned sand rider, so is Josh, living in Belgium for however long. They went out and got the job done pretty easily, I think. Josh isn't even 100% at the moment. He didn't even get a really good lap in. He was very frustrated after that qualifying. He left it till the last minute like he usually does, but he got it done, and I think everyone was expecting it.
It's been pretty rough out there so far, Cam. Big bumps are forming. It's really hot here today too. It's pretty warm. For these guys, fitness is going to be so vital tomorrow. It's going to be long motos. Already had today's action. What were your thoughts on today?
Tough. I noticed in MX2 qualifying, Shane Boyd set his fast slap on the second lap. He got out, got it done, and then it was done because he knew exactly where that track was going to end up. Everyone's coming off. They're all stinking hot. I know the Suzuki guys are doing some pretty scientific stuff this weekend to measure body temps and all that sort of stuff. It's vitally important fitness. So any of these privateer guys that can't train full time, I think they're really going to struggle tomorrow.
Just backing up what Cam said though, with Boydie doing his quickest lap on the second lap, the top 5 times didn't change after lap 3.
These guys, a lot of guys from the MX National Series, they've come over to Wanneroo early. We had that weekend off after round 3 of the series, so they've headed over to WA. A lot of these guys have been specifically preparing for sand riding, been putting in extra effort with their, both physically, mentally, and with their teams preparing. What is it that makes this round so tough compared to the rest of the series?
I don't think we don't have any other tracks like it, in our country. It's such a unique track. It's deep stand. It's the only round where they've got to use those. The Dunlop tyres, their MX-11s. There's no other track in Australia where these guys have to use them. So that's probably the hardest thing. There's not too many guys that have grown up racing sand. I think the guys southeast Victoria are pretty lucky, like Shane Boyd, Mosig, Monia, because they've got Rosebud. Rosebud's very similar to this, but other than those two tracks, there's nowhere else like it. So, it suits those guys, and that's why I think everyone tries to get over here early. Practices on a lot of local tracks around here. We've got the junior track over in the corner. We've got behind us here, we've got paddocks of sand tracks, so they try and get over and get a week's worth of testing.
Now, Mick mentioned the Dunlop tyres, obviously, the sand tyres. Pirelli has their sand tyres here. A lot of these guys are riding on those tyres for the first time, like some of the younger guys in the MX2 class. Also, we've seen the increase in size of fuel tanks, carbon tanks. I think Shane Boyd even has some tanks delivered from Chad Reed straight over from 22 Motorsports. But Suzuki's also got a carbon tank that they've, put on specifically for this weekend. Fuel is everything. These guys are going to be going fast, and the teams are prepared as well.
Yeah, look, the change in design of the bikes where now the tank sits down inside that main frame. I know Yamaha are a bit concerned whether that would go 35 or not. So obviously, they've done a lot of work, and that's part of the preparation. Not only suspension, but they just have to look at the thing from top to bottom because, like Mick said, there is nothing else like this in the country.
Boydie's got nightmares of this place and running out of fuel too.
I've spoke to Josh Coppins earlier, this week or last week actually. I spoke to him about this. Spoke in detail about him. He used to live in Europe, obviously, Grand Prix veteran. Used to live in Belgium. Plenty of sand riding under his belt. He's coming in here with, seems like a little bit of added confidence. He has a 20-point lead in the championship. His only real thing that could catch him out tomorrow is the shorter motos to start with. He knows they're not his strong points. How's Josh feeling into this weekend? What's he been like? How's he like the track? I know you would have spoken to him and caught up with him today.
I spoke to him a fair bit. Like I said, he's not 100%. He did pinch a nerve in his neck before Wonthaggi, and that's still playing up a little bit. I know he's had a lot of work getting done to it, and it's getting better, but it's still affecting him somewhat. He likes the track. I think if he doesn't get a start, he will struggle in those 15-minute motos because in qualifying he struggled to get a good lap in. It was funny, in qualifying all the young guys took off like it was a race, and they got all their fast laps in early. Josh kind of sat back and really struggled to get that quick one in, and even though he did get that one quick lap in, he wasn't happy with it. He come in very frustrated, but it's going to be race day tomorrow. He's got to be the favourite to win. He's was clearly the fastest. He was the only rider out there who went under a minute 48. So he's going to be the favourite to win, and yeah, it's going to be hard to bet against him.
Brad Anderson, he won at Wonthaggi last time out. I saw him in the Honda truck earlier today. He sort of gauged where Josh Coppens was at, gauged where the rest of the field was at. He's quietly confident. He knows the attention's on Coppens right now, but he's from Europe as well. He's he just seems like confidence. That round 3 win boosted him up a little bit. He knows he needs to catch Josh in this championship. How much will Brad Anderson's win at round 3 carry him into this weekend?
As much as a win for any rider will bring them forward, and he beat a class field in Wonthaggi. Every one of those guys was riding really well. It's going to be much to his advantage, and his experience in Europe and the UK. Josh Coppens, though, like we keep saying, he's lived in Belgium. He's probably ridden at Lommel 1,000 times, and all those deep, nasty sand tracks like this. It really leans towards Josh Coppens. A lot of things, I guess, a few people don't know as well, is that Todd Water lives very close to a place called In Hot Springs up in Atherton Tablelands, and it's a deep, nasty sand track like this. So, he's got a lot of sand experience as well.
He looked good today. He qualified second, didn't he? And third. He was super fast.
Yeah.
Now, Brad Anderson, he also, not many people would have realised, but when he came over and won Raymond Terrace in 2010, straight after that, he headed to WA and won the Manjum Up 15,000. So he has experience over here. He told me previously that he's ridden this track. He's practiced on it before. So he's not coming into this round completely blind either. It should be interesting. One guy, Dean Porter, local boy, picked up the win. I think it was 2008, clean sweep from memory. He could impress. Hasn't qualified right up there, but race time, he knows how this track forms up. What can we expect from him?
I thought he was going to be a lot quicker out there in qualifying today. I was expecting a lot more out of him. I seen him come into the mechanics area where I was standing in practice, and his bike didn't sound right at all. So I'm not sure if he got anything fixed for qualifying. But if he come in 9th, a couple of seconds off the pace, I don't know if he can bounce back from that. Probably back in 2008, like I think Cam mentioned last week, he probably wasn't working full time. He's a bricklayer working full time, so maybe that's he's got that going against him.
Jay Marmont, where TC and the boys have welcomed us under here in the Monster Energy Kawasaki truck here for round 4 this weekend. He's been here all week. He looked good in qualifying, 4th fastest. Denny Green actually came to watch him to check him out, so he just seems to have that, he just seems to be happy this weekend, and a happy Jay Marmont is a fast Jay Marmont. Apart from a little tweak in his knee during the week, I think that Jay Marmont, we could see him really step up, and he is the current Manjum Up 15,000 champion from last year as well.
Yeah, look, Jay Marmont himself would be disappointed with the way that Wonthaggi went. There was something clearly wrong in Wonthaggi, and obviously you guys know a bit better than what I do, but you very rarely see Jay Marmont get 3 cracking starts and go backwards. So, and he would be bitterly disappointed with that. Whether he's injured or not, Jay Marmont will never offer an excuse, And I truly believe that Jay Marmont very rarely has two bad rounds in a row. So watch out for him, man. The guy is a fighter. He's just like Danny Green. He will fight and scrap till a bitter end. There's no give. The guy just never gives up.
There's something about WA too. Jay has spent a lot of time over here. He's got friends over here. He likes the place, and it was pretty cool to see Denny Green show up and hang out with the guys under Kawasaki in the Monster Energy Kawasaki truck.
How good was that car?
Oh
my God!
It really put a bounce in Jay's step having Danny out here, and also I think Jay having his family come. He's got Jay and his little boy Jaxie this weekend. He just looks really happy, proud to be here, and he's stoked. So I think we could see something special from him this weekend too.
Now the guys at Moto, Pirelli, Suzuki, Todd Waters, saw you catching up with him earlier straight after the session. Cody Cooper also. Both of those guys picked up moto wins at Wonthaggi last time out. That team, it's a pretty tight-knit family. Todd's really enjoying it. And, can we see Suzuki keep progressing? Really, I think if they start to win motos and get momentum, they could really upset these big guys where all the attention has been so far.
Cody Cooper's very much a momentum rider. I've seen that, in Wonthaggi, he had 2 bad motos and just smoked everybody in that 3rd moto. He was unstoppable. And Todd's in really good form, He's come into this. He's been here with Jake Moss all week. The guys have been training down at the junior track and just riding, just getting used to the sand and that sort of stuff. And he's got good form, and he's just sort of slowed down that 2 or 3% in order to just maintain consistency and look good for a championship. And he really is. He's in championship mode right now. He sort of wants to get through the first 6 or 7 rounds and then really zero in on it. And the guys at Suzuki are on the money, you know, like they're looking really good. Steve Waters is mechanicking for Todd this weekend. Todd's normal mechanic's got a bit of an issue with a pinched nerve, I think. So, yeah, watch out. When Steve Waters is Todd's mechanic, those two have a good time, you know. They're best mates. So, you know, I think you're dead right there. The Suzuki boys definitely are on a roll right now.
You mentioned Cooper coming out. 2 bad motos to start the round at Wonthaggi. He was a favourite after his qualifying form there, practice form. He was fast all weekend. Had a bad first 2 motos, but came out and absolutely just killed it in that final moto. So I actually wrote on Twitter early in the day that he was the disappointment of the day, but he redeemed himself. Made me look a bit silly via Twitter, but that's something that I like. I like to see these guys bounce back. I like to be proven wrong, and I think that was really cool to see from Coops that weekend.
Yeah, I'll back you up, mate. I'm still not convinced with Coops. I know he's had 1 good race so far this year. You know, he qualified first and then he had 2 bad ones, but I think that's going to be the story of Coops' year. No disrespect to Coops, I think he's a great rider. You know, we get along really good, but I'm just not convinced. Hopefully he can prove me wrong. I'd be happy for him to prove me wrong, but I'm still not too sure about him. Yeah,
look, consistency. He's just lacked consistency, you know. Like he's definitely not the guy that we saw go to America a few years ago. You know, like, and I have to agree with you guys as well. And as you said, Mick, no disrespect, but the consistency's just not there. It's kind of like, you know, your Todd Waters and Ford Dales of last year, where they were ridiculously fast in one moto, and they just couldn't put it together for an entire day. Where you guys, you know, your Josh Coppins and Brad Anderson, those guys will be fast 3 motos, you know, every round we go to.
Now the big one for KTM, the JDR KTM factory racing team, guys, this weekend. We're in KTM's backyard here in Western Australia. A lot of support will be here this weekend. Jeff Leask, the general manager, former Grand Prix legend, obviously a top Aussie, real star, you know.
Sprint car racer.
Yeah. Pretty much one of our greatest ever from Australia. He'll be on hand this weekend. Reardon and Keisha are the lone rangers under the JDR truck. Ryan Marmont, he's out with injury. Harrison was already out. And obviously Simmons defected before the season even began. How much pressure will Reardon have on his shoulders tomorrow?
An entire team's worth, I think. And to be perfectly frank, you know, he hasn't lived up to expectation this year. Let's be honest, results aren't there. Be it injury, be it bike, I'm not quite sure, you know, but he's got a pretty solid team supporting him there. So, yeah, I would expect that Jeff Leask will be coming here and really looking for a result. Josh Keisha, well, that kid's he's precocious and incredibly fast, you know, and he can just turn it on at will. So, you know, there's a lot of pressure there.
Josh will be good here. He lives at Carpenter's Rocks in South Australia, which is right on the beach. So he rides sand, you know, every day he rides at home. He'll be good here. Whether he'll be affected by the pressure of Jeff being here, I don't think it'll bother him at all. I don't think anything bothers Josh at all.
I think you're right there.
You know, he'll run his own deal. He'll go out there, and if he gets a good start, he'll be pretty hard to catch. I think Boydie will probably be really in, but it's going to be hard for anyone else to get him.
Yep.
What about Reardon, real quick? Some of us expected him to be on the factory edition KTM, similar to what Dungey races in the US. He's not. He's on the standard 2012 model, which is still a bike that's had good results, you know, in magazine tests in the past, in racing and in the World Championship as well. But something's just not clicking there for him. Do you think it's a confidence thing, or what do you think it might be?
I'm not really sure, but it does make sense why Ty left now. You know, Ty left to go to a privateer Honda, and you know, he's beating Reardon frequently. I'm pretty sure Dan's healthy. I'm not that close with him. I don't really talk to him that much, but I know other people who have spoke to him said he's healthy. He's happy. He's just struggling out there. I'm not sure. It must be the bike, because you know, we know Reardon can ride dirt bikes. We know he's fast, and if he's healthy and he's still, you know, running back in qualifying in 10th, then it has to be something.
Probably a combination of things. I think confidence starts to get down, start to you know, question the bike, start to question you know, a lot of things, not just the bike, but just all sorts of things about him. But hopefully we can see Dan Reardon step back up. He's a real identity of the sport. He's
absolutely the
star of the sport. Being overseas, and I really hope to see him climb back up that ladder and really be up there where we all probably expect him to be.
Just quickly on that, look, there's obviously something not clicking in that JDR KTM Motor X team, is there? You know, the Reinenbergs are putting in effort. They've got a big crew there, you know, and maybe it's just one of those things where it just takes a few years for a team to form and really gel and really get the results that they deserve, you know, because they're putting in so hard. So, you know, they've probably got to have a bit of a look around there and try and work out where it's not working for them, you know.
Now, on to the MX2 quickly. We obviously mentioned Shane Boyd a lot. He's fastest, we know that. these Serco guys, Luke Stike, Kurt Gibbs, they've been fast all year long. They're impressive. Ford Dale, he won last time out. It's going to be a grudge match out there. Who knows who's going to win? You know, I really look forward to that class because it's just wide open. And even the young kids like Errol Willis, he's impressive too.
Yeah, I had a chat to Errol today. He's not a noted sand kid, so he's sort of saying don't expect too much. Saw Kirk Gibbs just before with a big bag of ice and said, his exact words to me, I think, was, I've had better days, bro. I had a big one, and so he's pretty banged up. Luke Stike just looks rock solid. You know, I've said it before. He's really come of age this year. You know, Luke Stike is he's the kid we saw smoke everybody in the 19s a few years ago. So, and he's definitely strong. As you said, Ford Dale, man, that kid, he's done. He and Todd Waters, they're pretty good buddies. And Ford again, he's just taken back that 2 or 3%. And I genuinely believe he's probably the fastest guy in the class, only by a smidge. And he's just relaxed a little bit. And you know, it's my take is probably between those 4 guys and Keisha, the odd win here or there.
I think you got to add Monia into that group.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like I said, he's grown up down southeast Victoria. You know, Rosebud is very identical to this track. The team, I've spent a bit of time with that team over the last couple of rounds, and the environment within that truck is amazing. You know, you got Bailey, Powley, and
that's not another mention of Bailey, is it?
It is. It was. Well,
he's a key. Absolutely, he's a key factor in that team, regardless of who your mates are. Bailey's done a lot of work with those guys, and I agree with you. And I continually forget Monia, and I'm wrong to forget him because that kid is really, he's awesome this year, man. He's very good.
He went out there and qualified 4th, so you can never count him out tomorrow. He gets a good start. That'll be one of the guys they have to look up.
Look, and I did notice one Thaggy when he got off that bike, man. Ford Dale was totaled. I know he had a flu. He was totaled, but I did an interview with Monia, man, and he was jumping out of his skin. He was fresh. His fitness is really good, you know. So you're dead right there. I think he and obviously Boydie, they know their way around the sand tracks, man.
No doubt those 07 Suzuki bikes, Jet Pilot support, they look trick. And I think everyone takes note of that team so far all year long.
And Pally's a great mechanic, man.
This weekend, no MX development class. They'll be back in South Australia, Murray Bridge next weekend, which should be good to see them guys back. Going to put the pressure on again this weekend. Who will we see win? This is where we cop all the flack, but this is where we have all the fun. Let's hear it.
I'll go first. All right then. Well, I'm going to stick with my pick, Todd Waters. I think I know Josh Coppens will be very fast. I just something I saw on Todd Waters in practice. I think he's pretty good. I know Josh Coppens didn't get a lap, but lights, man. I'm going for the smoky. I'm going to go with Boydie. He won last time we were here in Opens, and he beat a very fast J Marmite last time we were here. And he looks really relaxed and in good form, and I think that's probably going to be the most unpredictable. There is Stike, Boyd, Ford Dale, and Adam Monia, and those guys are all totally capable of winning that class.
Let's hear it, Mick.
It's an easy one for me this week. Josh Coppens, MX1, and Boydie, MX2. I don't think anyone will come near either of those 2 guys.
Now, for me, we're under Monster Energy Kawasaki's truck. Jay Marmont, he's the man for me, 4-time champion. I like the guy with the #1 plate. Good friend of mine. I'm going to choose him. Also,
you're picking your mate?
Yeah, I'm going to pick my mate, and I think Denny Green's got him fired up, so we'll go for him. Also, Luke Stike. Spoke to him right before we filmed the show. I think that he can come out, keep that red plate. I think he's got that desire to keep things going. So, but thanks a lot, guys. Another great show, and for all you fans out there, remember to check out MotoOnline on Twitter and Facebook tomorrow. And we look forward to next weekend.
Big thanks to the guys from Monster Energy Cowie for having us as well. Cheers.